to the range. And I'm doing a live for a few reasons. One, I've been absolutely murdered on the algorithm. None of my videos are doing well, so we'll see if maybe a live maybe picks up a little bit of traction. But also, I've been listening to a lot of podcasts this week. Some stuff from JJ Racaza. Been listening to Gateway Defense, Speed Up and Get Your Hits podcast by Spectrain. And one of the things that I'm noticing, if you are a regular listener, you will notice, and this is no offense to Brennan or any of these guys, Vlogs, Nick Young, any of these guys, they contradict themselves, and it can be kind of frustrating because you're learning one thing, you're trying to pick up this technique, practice it, and then they'll come back and be like, oh, I'm not doing that, I'm doing this other thing. And that just speaks to the evolution of their skill. Now, it could come off as somewhat frustrating at certain points, only because obviously they're shooting way more than you and I. I mean, this is what they do for a living. We have regular jobs, you and I. And so they're able to test these things out a lot sooner, a lot faster than you and I are able to get to the range. And so that's why when you hear them talking about grip, you know, what kind of grip works for them or what kind of gear setup, you know, take it with a grain of salt, because my belt setup was done specifically because of how Velox had his belt set up. And then when I show up to the course, this is Nick Young, he's running a race belt, and most of the guys are running race belts, and that's because with his updated curriculum, he's, you know, switched things up. He's evolved as a shooter, and that's what we need to be doing as well. So we don't really need to take it to heart too much when they say, oh, this is the certain type of grip, because it might not work for you. And one of the things that I have been saying is that working out, hold on, let me move this out of the way. Sorry, there's like a shadow right here. Working out does help you increase your ability to perform. And a lot of these guys at the high levels were saying, oh, you don't really need to do that. It's really about technique, which it is. Technique is extremely important. But now after they've gone to nationals and I'm listening to their podcast, all of them are talking about how they want to have tree trunks. They're going to start working out. They bought some dumbbells so that they can get into, so they can be more physical. They can move around better. And that's because, and this is a whole nother topic, is that this sport is evolving and it is changing itself. The sport is changing because guys are getting better and they're setting up more and more difficult stages. So if you're coming into this late and you're feeling overwhelmed by some of these stages, just understand this ain't your grandpa's USPSA. You know, we got Dixon over here setting up stages. Just awesome shooters. There's so many of them, I can't even name them all. And that's what I'm talking about, is that there's so many shooters out there that are at such a high level, and they're constantly changing up the way that they practice, the way that they shoot, the equipment they're using, even the guns, the gun platforms that they're using. That don't take everything so personal, because everything's evolving. Even you yourself, even myself, as I go out every single time, I'm noticing certain grips might increase or decrease my times, certain entries and exits increase or decrease my time. And so yeah, there's just a lot of information, and it's always contradicting because you have like 3 or 4 high-level shooters that do it a different way, and it's just because we all have different bodies. Some of us have longer arms, some of us have longer fingers. I have meaty small hands. They're meaty and powerful, but I just can't get good reach on some of the stuff, you know? So, you know, my body's not the same. Look at Dixon. That dude's got like freaking ginormous hands. So his shooting style is going to be different. And so you do want to try and emulate your favorite shooters or the guys who you think are doing really well. But at the same time, you got to remember what works for them may not necessarily work for you. And just keep that in mind. Whatever works for you to increase your ability or decrease your times, that's probably the best thing you can do. Yeah, that is pretty much all I have to say. I'm just kind of rambling, trying to get this live. I don't even know if there's one person watching. All right, I love it. I don't even give a crap. We're gonna head out. We're gonna shoot the Smith & Wesson M&P, and we're also gonna be shooting the Walther. You know, the grips are different. Exactly, once again, I'm switching platforms, and after shooting last weekend, one of the things that I noticed is the grip angles are different from the M&P to the Q5, and so presenting is a little bit different. It's not huge, but you know, ripping off that first shot, it is, the angle of the gun is a little bit different. So I don't know, I'm still getting used to the M&P. I know there's a lot of M&P boys out there. I'm actually in an M&P chat with some guys who compete, but I feel guilty because I don't really use the M&P as much, so I need to practice a little bit more with the M&P over my Walther. I'm just so used to my Walther though. I don't want to say that it's, obviously I think it's better, but I don't want to say that it's better necessarily. It's just because I have way more time behind it, way more, a way higher round count on it, so I just feel a lot more comfortable with the Walther. But I'm also going to be testing out one of my rifles because I made a video about running an optic on the rail, and a lot of people were freaking out. They were saying, you can't run your optic on the rail, you're gonna lose zero. And I'm telling you, I ran easily 350 to 400 rounds last weekend on it, and it did not lose zero. So I'm gonna actually document it today so that I can post a video later. I don't know if it will or will not. You know, a lot of guys say it will at a very high round count, but 350 rounds, that loosens the nuts and bolts up. You know, that warms things up pretty good. That's a pretty good indicator of if something's gonna fail or not. But you know, maybe I'll put more rounds through it just to document and kind of prove that, you know, test it out for yourself. You know, the internet's gonna tell you don't do this, don't do that, and everyone was literally I had guys in the comment section freaking out about my staff, and I'm like, dude, if you don't want to run your optic on the rail, then don't. You don't need to. But I'm gonna test it out because I want to do a full co-witness, and I do want my carry handle on there, and I do have an attachment to run an optic on the carry handle, but it's just really, it's really tall, and also I have to really change my my cheek well if I want to use the irons. And if you know me, if you've watched any of my videos, you know I prefer to do a full co-witness, and just having a carry handle, that's another thing. Guys are like, you're not supposed to use the carry handle. It's a fucking carry handle. I'm gonna use the carry handle if I want, because it's convenient as hell. That's why I put it on there. And I really do like the irons that I put, because I put a Blitzkrieg front post sight in the front, and that's cool too. I did another video on that has an open aperture, which helps if you're doing some long distance shooting, because with the open aperture, if you ever have done long distance shooting, the front post will oftentimes cover or obstruct the target that you're looking at a longer distance. And so the small open aperture allows you to actually see the target rather than it being obscured by the post, which is why I like that Blitzkrieg front sight. But anyway, I'm about 5 to 10 minutes out from my secret spot where I'm going to test all these things out. And so takeaways from today's live is, don't worry too much about what other guys are doing with their techniques if yours is working for you. As long as it's something safe and it feels efficient and you're comfortable with it, eventually, if you practice that enough, you're going to evolve it over time. You're going to adapt it. You're going to figure out your own deficiencies. You don't need anybody to tell you otherwise. That's one. And two, don't believe everything you see on the internet. Test things out for yourself. Even the stuff I'm saying right now, I test a lot of stuff out, and I literally have no dog in the fight. So I'm constantly swapping out optics, testing different things out. For instance, the Aimpoint Acro P2. I've seen a lot of things on the internet where they fail. Well, I bought one anyway. I'm gonna test it out and see if it fails. So that's the other thing. Test things out yourself and take everything with a grain of salt. Hopefully you've been able to get out there and practice this weekend. That truly is the only way to get better. Even dry fire has its limitations, so just do your best to get out there, get some live recoil control, so you can feel that recoil impulse and just increase your staff wielding abilities. All right, peace out.